move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. Waking up every day, lifting him from the bed to the wheelchair to the car to get him to therapy on time, it's no small task between the doctors and the diagnosis, but nothing can disable this love. This is my big brother, my hero. He's part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. See, there's no time for tired. This starts again tomorrow. He'll be waiting for me. I wake up for him. I know he needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 877-333-5885. Caregiving Resource Center. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do. Oh, tell the world I see with an emoji to stop the bullies.
Know someone who's being bullied online? Send the witness emoji. It looks like an eye in a speech bubble, and it's in the symbol section near the clocks in your phone. You'll let the world know it isn't cool, and you'll let your friend know you care. Learn more about the witness emoji at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Broadcasting from coast to coast,
city to city, coast to coast.
It's time for the Ryan Hickey Show on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. If it's happening in sports, it's being talked about right here. And here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
Good Thursday morning and welcome into the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It is the Ryan Hickey Show with you here for the next 2 hours. We roll along till 11 a.m. Eastern. We have a very, very jam-packed show for you here for the next 2 hours. It is week 18 in the NFL. It is the final regular season week, but the off-the-field drama remains to dominate the storylines. We'll start with Antonio Brown here in just a second. Last night I thought was very interesting what his lawyer put out, what Antonio Brown is claiming, what the Buccaneers are claiming, and more drama has continued to build this morning on social media. If you've seen what Antonio Brown has been posting, it is, I will say, very on brand for Antonio Brown. So we will get to that in a second. Kyrie Irving makes his return for the Nets. We'll discuss that. Of course, Hickey's Pickies, a Thursday specialty. We'll do so in an hour 20 from now. Jay Berman will join us. And I'll kind of preview the NFL hot seat, say which coaches should be back in 2022, which coaches should be fired. As a reminder, we're coming to you live, as you always are, from the Big Italy Pizzeria Studios. Now, whether it's great pizza, hot heroes, and phenomenal dinners, make sure you check out BigItalyPizza.com to find a location near you. All right, Antonio Brown has spoken out yet again. His lawyer put out a very, very, very lengthy statement to Adam Schefter, to Ian Rappaport last night. We'll tell you those details in a second here. But concerning the entire Antonio Brown Buccaneer situation, I'll say this, whether he was cut wrongly, whether he was cut rightly, Antonio Brown's entire situation may actually be right in a sense, but in totality, he's still wrong. Here's what I mean by that. So in case you didn't see Antonio Brown's lengthy statement last night, the classic TLDR, too long, didn't read because, boy, it was a lengthy one. Here's basically the summary of what was said last night from Antonio Brown from his lawyer. Antonio Brown claims that on Sunday, he had a very severe ankle injury that he gutted through playing. He said he believes he shouldn't have been playing. He was with injury report, did not practice Thursday, did not practice Friday. And he claims that he tried to gut through. He obviously dressed, he played a few plays, and he said he couldn't go anymore. His ankle just wasn't healthy enough. Antonio Brown claims when he was on the sideline, the coaches came up to him, said, "Hey, get in the game." AB said, "I can't, I'm too hurt." And that's when Antonio Brown claims the coaches said, "Well, if you're not on the field, you're gone, you're out of here." And he claims one of them pointed at him and then did the whole throat slash gesture and to indicate he was off the team. And that is what Antonio Brown is claiming led to him taking off his pads, taking off his gloves, taking off his undershirt, and running shirtless through the back of the end zone, jumping up and down, firing the crowd up as he made his, what most likely will be, final departure from an NFL field. Now, it gets interesting because Antonio Brown says he was cut on the field and then he left the field, and that's what led to the outburst. Bruce Arians, after the game, and even, on Monday, was saying that, the injury of Antonio Brown never came up. Antonio Brown, refused to go on the field, and that's why he was cut. Bruce Arians after the game said, he's no longer a Buck. He's not on the field. So here's what I mean when I say Antonio Brown could be right. That's a synopsis of what was said yesterday. Antonio Brown's side of the spectrum. Antonio Brown probably is right about his ankle injury, right? Again, this is a guy who missed 2 months of season with an ankle injury. It's not like it came out of nowhere. He didn't practice Thursday. He didn't practice Friday. Antonio Brown this morning released text messages that at least portray that he was texting Bruce Arians this week about his ankle injury and how he's going to try to gut it out. He's not 100%, but he's going to give his best to be on the field. So at least if this is true, again, it's Antonio Brown, so we got to take the source with a grain of salt. But if these text messages are true between him and Bruce Arians, it appears Bruce Arians knew about the ankle injury, and the ankle injury was severe enough to where Antonio Brown is not lying about not being able to go back out on the field. So he could be right and probably is right with it, right? You can't really fake MRIs. Maybe I'm being naive, but his lawyer's claiming there's MRIs. The hospital special surgery in New York City is the one listed where Antonio Brown got his second opinion on his ankle recently. So it seems medically there is truth there. So he can be right about the ankle injury, but here's where he is still wrong. And I still think the Bucs are right for cutting him. I still don't believe, hearing Bruce Arians' side of the story, hearing now Antonio Brown's side of the story, I don't believe Antonio Brown was cut from the Buccaneers because of an ankle injury or because he refused to go back in the game. I think he was cut on Sunday because it was a accumulation. It was a boiling point, a tipping point, really, I should say, for all the other BS that the Buccaneers, the coaching staff, his teammates were dealing with. It finally bubbled to the surface, and Sunday was the spark that kind of set off the explosion, that set off what we saw on Sunday happen between Antonio Brown, Bruce Arians, and the Buccaneers. And on Monday, Bruce Arians, Ian Rappaport was on the NFL Network on Good Morning Football, basically explaining that this was not an isolated incident. Antonio Brown and his relationship with the team was very tenuous. Right? Ian Rappaport is saying that within the Buccaneers organization, there was a lot of frustration towards Antonio Brown, whether it came with his ankle rehab. They didn't feel like he was, serious about rehabbing and doing everything he could to get back on the field. Obviously, we all know the fake vax card fiasco. We lied to the Buccaneers, lied to the NFL, had a fake vaccine card when he wasn't vaccinated, suspended 3 games. Obviously, we know that. And Rappaport went on to say that there's distrust. The Buccaneers don't feel Antonio Brown has been honest with them going forward this season. So for me, when you hear the background, when you know Antonio Brown, or not know him, but you see what Antonio Brown has done throughout his NFL career on the field and off the field, again, for me, this is not about an ankle injury. This is not about refusing to go back in the game or not listening to the coach or being too hurt to come in. This, again, to me is just a boiling point, a tipping point for all the other BS the Buccaneers had to deal with this season, in the public spotlight, behind closed doors, that Antonio Brown that just got too much where they just lost it. They exploded like a volcano. And guess what? The reason why I'm on the Buccaneers side, the reason why I still don't fault them for cutting them, even if this ankle injury is true, is because we have all been there. We have all gone to a point of frustration with someone or a situation to where the smallest thing isolated isn't a big deal, but because of everything that's built up, the smallest thing, boom, flips the switch and you explode. And whether it's with a significant other, whether it's with a friend. I know for me personally, back in college, me and still one of my good friends to this day, we were roommates with a few other guys, and we just didn't get along. There was, whether it was, fighting over who's cleaned the dishes, whether it was the AC temperature. There's a lot of small, stupid things, frankly, that caused tension, that was, caused a rift that really kind of got me upset, got him upset. So it just kept on festering, kept on, bullying, to a point where there was one night where I got home late, or later on, like a Sunday, I was working, and he was a big fan of a TV show that came on Sundays. I forget what it was. Almost like 10 years ago now. But his big thing was he has to watch a TV show in the dark. You cannot have any lights on watching the show. Being in college, our apartment's not exactly huge. So the living room, the kitchen, it's all one. So I was trying to eat dinner late on Sunday. He's watching a show. I'm not trying to eat dinner in the dark. I'm putting the lights on. He's running over, putting them off. And it gets to a point where, because of all the other frustrations over all the other living situations and small things that kind of add up, it got to a point where now eating, putting the lights on versus putting the lights off led to a massive explosion. A massive explosion. And it wasn't just the lights, but it was everything that built up to it, to where the smallest thing really just kind of lights the fuse and sets off a spark. That, to me, is what's happening here. It's not the fact that Antonio Brown hurt his ankle. It's not the fact that he couldn't go in the game because he was too hurt. It's the fact that the coaching staff, the Buccaneers, have dealt with everything beforehand, all of the baggage, all of the BS. And now you get to a point where the smallest thing lights you off. You're in the heat of a competition. You're losing to the Jets. So Bruce Arians and the coach, I'm sure, are already pissed off. And now you hear Antonio Brown and you feel either you don't believe him or you're just frustrated with him anyway. That, to me, is what set off that explosion where, I do believe he was cutting the sideline. And I do believe Antonio Brown, where his ankle was pretty banged up. But also, again, I have no fault for the Buccaneers for getting rid of a headache. I mean, it's not illegal to cut Antonio Brown because you don't like him, because you're frustrated, because you had enough. Because, frankly, he's hurt, right? How many times do we see players get hurt and they're cut? That's just the nature of the beast. That's how the NFL works. So even after hearing Antonio Brown's side, where he is trying to portray that he was too hurt, he was trying to be a team player, and the coaches kind of were forcing him to play hurt and weren't, being fair to him, it's almost like, honestly, I hate to be this callous, but it's almost like, sorry, too bad. Like, Antonio Brown is the guy who cried wolf. And when you keep on crying wolf, as we know what, your cries all of a sudden start to fall on deaf ears. And this is the same guy we're talking about who blamed Mike Tomlin and Big Ben for his exit in Pittsburgh. He was done with both of them. He tried to blame them for how it was portrayed in AB's mind that he quit on the team when in fact he did. But he is blaming Big Ben and Mike Tomlin for putting it out there publicly, trying to make Antonio Brown like a bad teammate. He gets traded to the Raiders. He wants to trade. Goes to the Raiders. Doesn't even play in a game. Doesn't even make it to week one because he is blaming Mike Mayock. He's upset with John Gruden. Remember, when he was in the process of getting cut, he's releasing, voicemails from John Gruden. He's calling Mike Mayock names he shouldn't be calling him. And as we know, he finally gets his wish, released before week one. Gets traded to the Raiders team he wants to go to, released before the season even starts. He goes to the Patriots. What happened? As we know, started getting in a fight with Robert Kraft, made it one game. And now here he is with the Buccaneers trying to blame Bruce Arians, for playing him on an ankle injury we shouldn't have been playing. He's released text messages earlier this morning blaming Alex Guerrero, the TB12 trainer, the infamous Alex Guerrero, Tom Brady's right-hand man. Ironically, Antonio Brown posted a screenshot of him in a text message with Alex Guerrero, upset that he paid Alex Guerrero all this money and is getting basically no work as a trainer. He's not, I guess, taking care of AB the way he wants or not showing him the love he was hoping for. Ironically, I can't believe Antonio Brown paid anyone straight up. You look at Antonio Brown and how many times he has stiffed people where he has not paid them for their services. That's how he was caught with a fake vax card. His former personal chef, where he didn't pay, was like frustrated that he wasn't getting paid. And guess what? He said, yeah, AB has a fake vax card. That's how the NFL found out. That's how he was suspended for 3 games. So now, again, it's the smallest things that always come back to rear its ugly head. And that's why, for me, Antonio Brown's a guy who always has an excuse. He always has someone to blame. So, yeah, you can blame your ankle injury and have it be legit. But still, at the same time, I can't fault the Buccaneers for cutting him. I think they did the right thing in terms of getting rid of a headache, especially as now we enter the postseason when the Buccaneers are trying to win back-to-back Super Bowls. It's hard enough to win a Super Bowl and repeat as champions as is. You don't need any more headaches. You don't need any more distractions. And that's why I think the Buccaneers are the right thing in getting rid of a massive headache, the biggest distraction they had on the team. So that's why, for me, you hear Antonio Brown and his side of the story, I don't feel any sympathy for him. I'm sorry. I really can't believe him. And even if the ankle injury is true, which I do believe there was some serious injury there, I can't fault the Bucs for cutting him, because I think AB put himself in the situation to get the coaches and his teammates so upset to where the smallest thing would set them off to have them explode like we saw on Sunday. So I'm curious your thoughts here, because you heard mine. I am not a sympathetic figure towards Antonio Brown. I could hear what he's saying. I can believe the ankle injury and still not feel bad about him getting cut and still believe the Buccaneers did the right thing. I mean, hell, on this show a few weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, although the Buccaneers should have cut Antonio Brown as soon as the fake vaccine card fiasco happened. As soon as the NFL suspended him for 3 games and it was official that he actually did something wrong, I thought they should have cut him right then and there. The Buccaneers didn't, and now they are paying the price for it with this embarrassing story kind of still continuing to surface here on Thursday, going into the final week of the season. Exactly what the Buccaneers didn't want, but it's exactly what they deserve when you kind of sell your soul to the devil and trust Antonio Brown and enable him to get second and third chances. So I'm curious your thoughts. You hear Antonio Brown's side of the story. You hear Bruce Arians and the Buccaneers side of the story. Does your view of what happened, does your view of the entire situation change when you hear Antonio Brown's side? When you hear that he had a severe ankle injury that he gutted through in terms of suiting up, but was, eventually too injured to keep on playing? Or do you are kind of like me? Sorry, Buccaneers still did the right thing. So love to hear your thoughts. Plenty of ways to get involved in the show. Facebook, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Twitter, WWSRN_radio. At Ryan Hickey Show on Twitter as well. Tweet us right in the live stream right there. Comment right away. We'll get your thoughts right on the air. When we do return here on the Ryan Hickey Show, we'll go from one polarizing figure in Antonio Brown to another. Kyrie Irving made his return last night for the Nets. Was it the right call? Was it the right move for the Nets to bring Kyrie back on a part-time basis? We'll discuss that when we return. It's the Ryan Hickey Show right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing? I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
This is Nnamdi Asamoah. I play football for the Philadelphia Eagles, but what I do off the field with United Way might be more important. I'm a volunteer tutor and mentor. Why? Because over 1 million kids a year drop out of school, and that's not okay. It takes 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes about the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be me, or it could be you. Studies show that if we get to these kids earlier, their chances are better. And kids who read well by 3rd grade are more likely to graduate. So join me in United Way. Suit up and take the pledge. Become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor. Because when a child succeeds, we all succeed. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Take the pledge at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way, the Ad Council, and the National Football League.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
20 minutes from now, we will talk about Jim Harbaugh. Will he leave Michigan for the NFL? But before that, we are talking polarizing players. Antonio Brown in the NFL. Obviously, we know we all have seen the video. Antonio Brown last night put out his side of the story, claiming he was too injured to play. And the coaches tried to force him in where he took a stand, and that's what led to him getting cut, not all his other outbursts. I'm sorry, I still think the Buccaneers made the right move, even though I do think the ankle injury was serious, and he's not lying about that. But Antonio Brown, too much for headache, and the Buccaneers did the right thing in moving on for him. Love to hear your thoughts, whether your view changes of Kyrie Irving, of Antonio Brown, after hearing his side that he was too hurt to play. Love to hear your thoughts. Facebook, Worldwide Sports Network, Twitter. You tweet us at Ryan Hickey Show or WWSRN_radio. Feel free to comment on the live stream. We'll get your thoughts right here. But like I said, we go from one polarizing player in Antonio Brown to another in Kyrie Irving. Kyrie made his much anticipated return to the court last night. He is playing only on a part-time basis. He is not vaccinated, and according to New York City rules, you cannot play basketball if you are not fully vaccinated. So he's still back only on a part-time basis. He's only playing road games now for Brooklyn moving forward. I'm curious your thoughts. Is this the right move? Are the Nets doing the right thing in bringing Kyrie back on a part-time basis? I think yes. Remember before the season, the Nets said until he's a full-time participant, until he is vaccinated or the rules change where he can play home and away games, the Nets are not going to bring Kyrie Irving back. Obviously, last night was proof and example. They flip-flopped on that. They changed their minds. And you know what? I think the Nets are smart to change, reverse course on this and bring Kyrie back. Because as we know, times are changing. Living in this pandemic, living in COVID world, if you will, everything changes by the minute. So you know what? So should the Nets philosophy. I think it's smart for two reasons for the Nets to bring back Kyrie on a limited basis. Number one, it gives your stars a break in the regular season. And frankly, that's the most important part. Right? Because this team, the Nets have been a team that's been decimated by COVID throughout the year. So because of COVID, because of the lack of depth they have, Kevin Durant and James Harden have been playing overtime in terms of minutes per game in November and December. You want to have them, play, push it to the limit and play 35, 38, 40, 42 minutes a game come April, May, June. Yeah, that's why you pay them a max deal. But we're talking about them playing 38, 40, 42 minutes in November, in December, in January. That's not how you get your stars ready for the postseason. That's not how you make sure they are fully ready to go playing at their peak come playoff time. You look at Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, in terms of average minutes per game, is third in the NBA. He is averaging the third most minutes per game played this season. You know who's fifth? James Harden. So two of the Nets' best players this season are top 5 in average minutes per game. They're averaging both over 36 minutes per game. You do not want your best player, your true hope for a title in Kevin Durant, and his number 2 in James Harden, playing 36 minutes a night early in the season. That's how you run them into the ground. That's how you get them exhausted come playoff time. You look at Kevin Durant, why that 36 minutes per game is important is because that's the most he's averaged in his career since 2013, 2014. His Oklahoma City days. Look, Kevin Durant's still a great player, but he's almost a decade older. And now he's playing the same amount of minutes that he did almost 10 years ago. That's not a recipe for success if I'm the Nets. That's not if I'm Steve Nash, something I feel comfortable with, having Kevin Durant log all of these heavy minutes early on in the season. I know the NBA is tough, right? Because you want to get into the regular season and you want to feel like it matters. But the truth is, for a team like the Brooklyn Nets, the regular season doesn't matter. Seeding for them doesn't matter. You got to feel good if you're Brooklyn. If you're fully healthy, you could beat the Bucks. You could beat the Sixers. You could beat the Bulls. You could beat the Warriors or the Suns or whoever comes out of the West. So the regular season should be about maintaining health and getting your best players, namely the 2 right now that can play every game in James Harden and Kevin Durant, making sure that they are coasting through this point of the schedule. And by the time March and really April comes, they are kind of turning it up and playing their best basketball and rounding into playoff form. And right now, they're maxing out. You can't have that. So Kyrie returning gives your 2 best players a break. Take some of the stress off their back. I remember what happened last year. Kevin Durant, right, because of injuries, he was carrying the load, especially in the playoffs, where Kyrie Irving gets hurt in the round against the Bucks, where James Harden gets hurt and hurts his hamstring early in the postseason. Kevin Durant was dragging that team to the end. They had an incredible 7-game series in the second round of the playoffs against the Bucks. As we know, Kevin Durant's toe was on the 3-point line. If it was 3 inches back, he hits a 3. And who knows, the Nets advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. But Kevin Durant was exhausted. He even said after the series, it's no guarantee the Nets were getting to the finals, even if they beat the Bucks, because they were just dead. They were injured and they, expended all of the energy they possibly could. Kevin Durant's playing, 48 minutes a game in some of these games. So now if Kevin Durant was exhausted last year and he only averaged 33 minutes per game last year in the regular season, as we only missed a ton of games because of, COVID, because of injuries. So he was playing less minutes last year than he was this year. He missed more time last year just for injuries. So in theory, again, you're more rested. And he was still exhausted in the second round of the playoffs. He was still, dragged to that finish line, not any fault of his own, just because, again, he was expending so much energy. He was so relied upon to carry this team because of injuries. Kevin Durant was dead at the end of the season. So now if you're Steve Nash and you're the Nets, you see that and you realize, okay, we got to make sure Kevin Durant is healthy and rested, if you will, going to the postseason. So right now, playing 36 minutes a game, averaging the 3rd most minutes in the NBA, is not the recipe for success. So Kyrie's return, again, lessens the burden on Kevin Durant, takes some pressure off of James Harden, and allows games in January and February to be to have less responsibility on their shoulders. So the Nets have 24 road games left. 2 are in New York, 1's in Toronto. So he can't play those. So Kyrie right now is eligible to play in 21 more games right now if no mandates happen. Sure, it's not a huge respite for 2 of your best players, but it does provide a break. It does take some pressure off to where even if Kevin Durant is logging 35 minutes a game, the pressure to him to score and be a playmaker lessens because now you have another one in Kyrie Irving back. So a finals run for Brooklyn, a championship for Brooklyn, is relying on Kevin Durant's health first and foremost. Kyrie Irving's return, even on a part-time basis, helps ensure a little bit more that Kevin Durant will be healthy and well-rested come playoff time. That's for me one of the reasons why I think it's a smart move for the Nets to bring back Kyrie Irving, even though it's on a part-time basis. The other one is kind of we talked about before, right? The world is changing every day. Every single day, we're learning more information, and rules either change or get stricter based upon numbers and testing and spread and stuff like that. So there's no guarantees you sit here on January 6th that the rules today will be the same on June 6th, on May 6th, when the playoffs are coming. So there's a chance if New York City changes their, mandates, if Toronto changes their mandates, all of a sudden, Kyrie Irving could play in every single game. Like, there's a chance here that mandates 6 months from now in these cities change. I mean, look at the CDC. Was it last week, right? 2 weeks ago? They just cut the quarantine time in half from 10 days to 5. If you're asymptomatic, you can now, return to work faster and you can kind of get back to your life faster. You're not, isolating yourself for 10 days. Now it's only 5 because we are learning more and more information, learning about the impact and the spread. It is now faster and quicker to get back because we have more information. So the protocols are constantly changing. The NBA just adopted basically this protocol as the CDC said. So now if you have COVID in the NBA, you can return faster than you could, let's say, 3 weeks ago. Things are always updating. Things are always changing. So by the time May and June comes, who knows where we could be? May 1st, New York City says, you know what? We're in a great spot, COVID-wise. The vaccines are doing great. The COVID is less rampant now. There's not any more variants. The spread is minimal. We are going to, ease our vaccine mandate. Now, there's no mandate for vaccinations in New York City. You can go live your life, vaxxed or unvaxxed. Well, that means Kyrie Irving can go back and play every game. And guess what? If he sat out the entire season, he needs time to ramp up. I know he's been practicing. I'm sure he's been working out, but you still need to get back into basketball shape, get some harmony back with your teammates, get back in the flow and get back in the rhythm and develop some continuity. So if he sat home, let's say till May 1st, when the mandates change, there's still time Kyrie needs, even though he's eligible to play in every game, to get back, into shape, to get back on the same page with KD and James Harden. You still need time to develop continuity. And guess what? By the time May comes, that's playoff time. You don't exactly have a ton of regular season games to, I don't say waste away, but to use as a testing ground to get back into basketball shape, to figure out what works, what doesn't work. But now, playing in a possible 21 games on the road, even though it's disjointed, where Kyrie played last night, now he's not going to play again. I believe the next road game is Monday or Tuesday. So basically, it's a week off. So you play one game, you're off a week. You play 2 games, you're off 10 days. Like it's not consistent, don't get me wrong, but it's still an opportunity for Kyrie to get his feet wet, to get back in the rhythm. And it's an opportunity for, Kevin Durant, for James Harden, for Patty Mills, for Nick Claxton, for the entire Nets team to get accustomed to playing with Kyrie Irving. So if the mandates ever do change and playoff time, he can play every game, you're still, you still have now, it's quicker to get Kyrie back up to full speed when he's already playing half the time than it is if he just came cold out of quarantine or came cold out of, just hanging out and then played basketball. So I do think it's smart for them for the Nets to kind of go back on what they said and bring Kyrie Irving back. Like, look, I'll be honest, I'm not a Kyrie Irving fan. I'm just not. Sorry. What you see on, off the court for me doesn't make, on the court, he's a great player. Not going to take anything away from him. I was a Nets doubter for a while, to be honest. If you heard any of the show last year, I did not think this trio could win a title. I did not think they would coexist well together. And guess what? Obviously, injuries were a reason for last year, but they have played well together. I can't deny it. I was wrong on that. They have gelled better than I ever could have imagined. They have gotten along better than I honestly ever could have imagined. Those are 3 alpha dogs with one basketball. I didn't think it would work, but when they're on the court, it worked. When they were healthy, it worked. I do think if they were healthy, even 2 out of the 3 were healthy last year. They beat the Bucks and they'd probably go to the title. And probably, I don't know about win, the Suns are playing well, but they at least make the finals. It wasn't because of lack of continuity or lack of getting along or playing well. It was injuries. So now you get Kyrie back on the team in even a limited role. It helps get the Nets closer to a playoff spot or a championship level. Like even last night, look, played 32 minutes, scored 22 points, 9 to 17 from the field. He's one of the most efficient and elite shooters in the NBA when he's on. And even, first game back since the playoffs last year, 22 on 9 of 17. He's going to get back in a rhythm. He's going to do well for the Nets. And like we said, even if it's just road games, still a huge boost. And if things ever change in 5 or 6 months, Nets are the team to beat. Nets are the team to beat. So for me, it's the right move in the Nets and changing their philosophy and bringing Kyrie Irving back on the right path, or bringing, should say, Kyrie Irving back on a part-time basis. I think it makes sense. I think it's the right move. I think it's the right move. I did agree, I'll be honest, when they first made the mandate that he's only going to be a full-time player or no player. I thought that was fine. I didn't think, being a part-time player would work well. But because injuries, because of COVID again, and because now you see your stars playing massive amount of minutes early on in the season, I do think now is the right time to bring Kyrie back. I do agree with the Nets changing their minds and flipping their decisions to bring one of the best players on their team back, even in a very limited capacity. Like I said, he can only play 21 more games. So he's not playing a huge role right now, but if things change, obviously, so do the Nets. I think it's the right move. I'm curious your thoughts here. Is Kyrie playing just road games, being a part-time player, is that going to help the Nets in your mind or hurt? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Facebook, Worldwide Sports Network. Twitter. Check us out at Ryan Hickey Show on Twitter or WWSRN_radio. When we return right here on the Ryan Hickey Show, there's rumors of Jim Harbaugh being interested in the NFL. An Athletic story wrote that there's some interest from Jim to go back to where he had a lot of success, which is the NFL. Will he leave? I got some thoughts on that. I'll give you them when we do return. It's the Ryan Hickey Show right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Do current market conditions have you nervous? Our experienced team of financial professionals at Heritage Harbor Financial Associates understands that no two investors are alike. We all have different goals, needs, and appetites for risk. That's why the one-size-fits-all approach does not work, especially when planning for retirement. At Heritage Harbor Financial Associates, we analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value, market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offer securities through AXA Advisors LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC. Annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network LLC.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor, and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit him online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Okay, Simon, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. And what do people normally wear?
Clothes.
Exactly. So now mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Clothes keep us warm, they look good, and if we go out without them, the neighbors will talk. So it's important to know how to get dressed. Here's how it's done. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. If you're wearing a tie, it goes over, round, through, and pull tight. Tuck your shirt into your pants and zip up your fly. Socks going first, then shoes right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops. The rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears.
I love bunnies.
Good to know. Now remember, spots don't go with stripes, socks don't go with sandals, and if you've tucked in your shirt, wear a belt. Got it? Wear your pants on your head.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. Spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
So you see, son, good manners are very, very important. Someday, many years from now, when you're a grown-up, you'll be a man. And when you are, you should be a gentleman. Do you want me to go through it one more time?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open for ladies. If a door's shut, then knock first. Don't burp, don't swear, don't speak with your mouth full, don't reach across people's plates, keep your elbows off the table.
What table?
And don't interrupt. While we're at it, don't stare, don't use foul language, don't call people names, but do remember people's names. Always share your toys, play nice, and cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze. On the bus, give up your seat to anyone who has trouble standing. Bottom line, treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
15 minutes from now, right here on the Ryan Hickey Show. Which NFL head coaches, as we enter the final week of the regular season, should return in 2022, and which head coaches should be fired? We have a lot of names on the hot seat. And I think there's actually going to be more firings than we expect. So 15 minutes from now, I got a list of names here. Should they stay or should they go? We'll do that first. But speaking of staying or going, how about Jim Harbaugh? Should he stay at Michigan or should he leave to go back to the NFL? There's a report from The Athletic and Bruce Feldman, a tremendous college football reporter this week, saying that Jim Harbaugh has his eye on the NFL. There is interest in returning to the NFL. Now, I will say this. I think Jim Harbaugh is staying at Michigan. And I think there's one main reason why Jim Harbaugh is staying at Michigan that I don't really see many people talking about. I think it's his Michigan allegiance. I think the deep bond he has with the University of Michigan, having so much of his life revolve around being in Ann Arbor, I think that bond is too strong to have him leave. Like, let me ask you this question, right? In case you didn't know, Jim Harbaugh was a former Michigan quarterback. His dad coached there. He has a lot of connections to the university. When was the last time we saw a prominent college football coach leave their alma mater for another job, whether it's in college or whether it's in the NFL? You keep thinking there's no real example you could find because guess what? It hasn't happened. And that's the situation Jim Harbaugh is in. We have not seen a coach at their alma mater. And I'm not talking about like Akron, shoot down, Alabama, say at Akron. Obviously, that's going to happen. But we're talking about prominent, big-time college football jobs here. Whether it's to leave for a bigger job or whether it's to leave for the NFL, we have not seen a prominent college football head coach spurn their alma mater. We had Pat Fitzgerald. Think about this. The Northwestern head coach. No disrespect to Northwestern. A tremendously smart, academically impressive school, right? But we know football's not really their priority, not really their thing. Pat Fitzgerald was a former Northwestern great player. Now their head coach. He turned down NFL interviews to stay at Northwestern. He chose Northwestern over the NFL. You look at guys like Paul Chryst at Wisconsin, Scott Frost at Nebraska, Kirby Smart at Georgia. Those guys aren't leaving their jobs. They're not taking another job. If, I don't know, if Clemson or Alabama or Ohio State called, Scott Frost is not leaving Nebraska. That pull, that bond you have at your alma mater, it's different and it's real. Like, I'll say this from my personal experience. If you're watching the live stream right now, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on YouTube, Worldwide Sports Network, we appreciate you watching. But if you are watching, you could see behind me, there is a Notre Dame banner. Why is that? Because growing up, I was a huge, huge Notre Dame fan. Lived and died with it, my entire family. No one went to Notre Dame, but, classic kind of Notre Dame fans, right? No one went. You're a Subway alumni, but you still root hard for the team. So that was my team growing up. That was one of my favorite teams ever. Notre Dame and the Mets were the two teams I lived and died with the most as a child. That was the dream. Go to Notre Dame. Now, if you listen to even 2 minutes of the show, you probably figured, I'm not smart enough to get into Notre Dame. Well, you'd be correct. Got rejected, didn't go to Notre Dame, went to Penn State. And I will say this. Now, today, I'm 27 years old. It's kind of scary. I forgot my age there for a second. I guess it happens when you get older. I am a massive, massive Penn State fan. And Notre Dame, I really don't have allegiance to anymore. I really don't feel that same emotion like I felt even 10 years ago. Because that pull you have when you go to school there, that pride you have for your university, it's different. And you don't really realize it until you're at your school that you love. Now, you make lifelong friends. You have a great time, hopefully. You go to games. That bond you have, the memories you make, for me at Penn State, but for you, wherever you went to school, it's different. So you root and you view and you have a rooting interest for that school for more than just the football team, for more than just the head coach or the success on the field. I mean, Notre Dame, talking about, success, Notre Dame has been more successful than Penn State the last decade, but it's still, ironically, as Notre Dame's gotten better, I've lost interest in part because, again, that pride, that sense of, that feeling you have, that bond you have to the school you go to is different and can't be replicated for any other team you root for. Like for the Mets, the Penn State and the Mets are the two teams I root for the most. I love the Mets. I love pro sports. But there's that for me, the Mets and Penn State are almost different because the Penn State bond, it's a different emotion because you went there, because you go to school that feels like home. It's a second home. For most people, you go to school, that's the first time you leave home, actual home for the first time. So it's you have that bond that separates everything else. And for Jim Harbaugh, that bond he has is deep. It's real. Listen, his dad was an assistant coach there. So he grew up going to Michigan games, being around the university, living in Ann Arbor. Obviously, he was a quarterback there, had success, left to go, played in the NFL, coached in the NFL. When he came back, called it a dream job. Now, I get a lot of coaches say that, right? A lot of coaches are talking how this is the place they're never going to be. And 3 years, they pack up and go to a better job. Every single coach that's hired calls it their dream job. I get it. But for Jim Harbaugh, someone who grew up a Michigan fan, who grew up in the backyard of the stadium, whose dad coached there, you played there, that truly is a dream job, and I believe him. So if you're now Jim Harbaugh, former quarterback of the university, your dad coached there, you are the head coach there now, you know all the history of success that a guy you idolize and Bo Schembechler had. For me, I think there's a certain pride, and there's even an extra motivation if you're Jim Harbaugh to get Michigan back to a consistent winning level, to win a championship. I get what he accomplished this year in beating Ohio State for the first time in 6 tries, for winning an outright Big Ten title for the first time since 2003, going to the college football playoff for the first time in Michigan football history. St. was created in 2014. I get this year has been more successful, and he has taken Michigan to a place they have not seen in almost 2 decades. I get it. So if he left now, you make the argument, Jim Harbaugh is leaving Michigan in a better place than where he found it. I still, though, believe that you don't go to Michigan just to make the playoff. Like, for me, I think Jim Harbaugh, again, knowing the history of success in the past, growing up with the university, I feel like you go there to win a championship. I don't think this is a stepping stone for him. Like, when he left the 49ers to go to Michigan, This is just me. I have no insight. I don't know Jim Harbaugh at all. This is just me speculating from the outside. I don't think you view going back to your alma mater as a stepping stone job. With your eyes back on the NFL, where you think, okay, I'll go back to Michigan, a place that I love. I'll go here for 3 years, and then, I'll go back to the NFL. I think you go there to win a championship, to be a consistent winner. And call for what it is, there's not been consistent winning in Michigan. This is by far the best year, like I said, Michigan has had. But it's not like they've been in the Big Ten title game a bunch. It's not like they've won Big Ten titles or gone to the Rose Bowl or won a championship. This has been the most successful season of the 6 Jim Harbaugh has had, but it's not been consistent. So I do think this level of success motivates him to stay, because now you're seeing, if you're Michigan and you're Jim Harbaugh, you see, you know what? We are close. We can get over the hump and win a title here. I think it's important what he said post-game, because after the college football playoff semifinal, where they're blown out by Georgia, in the post-game press conference, Jim Harbaugh said, quote, "It feels like a start. It feels like a beginning." Talking about how he thinks, end quote, that, he thinks Michigan now is here to stay. This is not a one-hit wonder where they make the playoff and then kind of fall back into irrelevancy or fall back into fighting for third place in the Big Ten East again. He feels like there's some serious momentum, and I believe him. So for me, I don't think he's going to leave Michigan right as things are starting to turn for the positive. Right as now recruiting, national title contention, right as now you are closer to that than you ever have been. I don't think now is the time you leave your Michigan when it's your alma mater, when you're trying to bring them a championship. If you think about it, the success they've had this year, you can, for me, carry it over. Right now, you finally beat Ohio State for the first time in 6 tries. So now you actually have the confidence and the belief that you can go toe-to-toe with the best team in the Big Ten and one of the best teams in the country. That's a confidence you can't fake, you can't replicate, or you can't pretend to have. So now you go into 2022 and beyond with a real swagger that you can beat anyone on your schedule. It helps to turn recruiting around. Right? Like, look at what Dabo Swinney has built in Clemson. When Dabo took over, Clemson wasn't a world beater. He didn't inherit an all-world program. Right? What was the one thing we always talked about with Clemson? Clemsoning. It was a verb. Because every time they, played a big game, they would play well and find a way to lose at the end. They can never win the big game. And Dabo Swinney, once he got over the hump in 2015, he didn't even win a national title, but he had Deshaun Watson. They pushed Alabama to the brink. And since that 2015 year, recruiting has been at an all-time high for Clemson. He has turned them into a juggernaut to now it's a bigger surprise when they're not in the national title game than if they are. Obviously, this year is a down year, but for those 5 years from 2015 to 2020, Clemson was one of the best football programs in the country, up there with Alabama, up there with Ohio State, Georgia. Why? Because the 1 year Dabo Swinney broke through, he capitalized on it, got recruiting up. It's a softer schedule I get in the ACC that helps, but he was able to capitalize that one big year and parlay it into a 5-year run where they won 2 national titles, and now they're still trying to keep the good times rolling. I think Jim Harbaugh could do the same thing. One good year, now you help, you see, okay, hey, recruits, we have beaten Ohio State. Now it's about winning a national title. Now kids at 16 and 17 have seen it with their own eyes. Michigan can compete and can beat Ohio State. That helps with recruiting. And if you look at it, in terms of the playoff, expansion is coming. College football playoff expansion is coming. So now, even if some years you don't beat Ohio State, you're 10-2, 11-1, you could still make the playoff. So now your path to making and winning a championship is almost easier because your season doesn't come down to just one game a year like it does with Ohio State. So I think Jim Harbaugh can capitalize off of this season recruiting-wise and start to get big-time classes now moving forward that has Michigan in a position to compete and have success every single year. College football playoff expansion is happening at some point. So now the path to the playoff gets easier and the path to a championship opens up more than it currently is right now. So I do think Jim Harbaugh is going to stay at Michigan. I think the alumni pull, the bond that you cannot replicate with any NFL team or even with any other college team, when you were at your former university, where you grew up rooting for, where your dad worked for, where you played, where you are now coaching, I think that's really, really tough to leave that now where you are just on the cusp. I don't think it's mission accomplished if you're Jim Harbaugh to say, I got Michigan to the college football playoff. That was my goal. Now let's get out of here and go back to the NFL. I think his goal is to win a title. I think his goal is to win a national championship, and I don't think he's going to leave until that goal is accomplished. So I'm curious your thoughts here. Do you think Jim Harbaugh will leave Michigan? Should he leave Michigan? I still don't think so. I think he can really capitalize off this year and build forward to where Michigan will have consistent success year in and year out, win more Big Ten titles, make more college football playoff semifinal games, and win a championship. So I don't think Jim Harbaugh will leave, nor should he leave. But I'm curious your thoughts. I want to get a phone number there. Not on CBS Sports Radio, or on the Worldwide Sports Network, which is where you comment on Facebook, Worldwide Sports Network. You can tweet us at Ryan Hickey Show on Twitter or at WWSRN_radio. Tweet us right there. You can click on either of those Twitter handles. You scroll down, boom, there's the live link to the show on the web, on the Twitter sphere, if you will. You can comment right there on the live stream as well. So get your Jim Harbaugh thoughts. And when we return here, Black Monday is approaching, the day where NFL coaches find out their fate if they're on the hot seat. Will they return or will they be fired? We got a list of a bunch of coaches. Should they stay in 2022 or should they go? I'll give you my answer on a few coaches on the hot seat when we do return. Listen to the Ryan Hickey Show right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear hug.
Uh-huh, okay.
Well, we were building a bonfire, and I saw some, dry brush and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. Waking up every day, lifting him from the bed to the wheelchair to the car to get him to therapy on time, it's no small task between the doctors and the diagnosis, but nothing can disable this love. This is my big brother, my hero. He's part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. See, there's no time for tired. This starts again tomorrow. He'll be waiting for me. I wake up for him. I know he needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 877-333-5885. Caregiving Resource Center. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do. Oh, tell the world I see with an emoji to stop the bullies.
Know someone who's being bullied online? Send the witness emoji. It looks like an eye in a speech bubble, and it's in the symbol section near the clocks in your phone. You'll let the world know it isn't cool, and you'll let your friend know you care. Learn more about the witness emoji at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show. right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And welcome back into the Ryan Hickey Show. 20 minutes from now, Hickey's Pickies with a character. A very good friend of mine, Jay Berman. Very excited to have him on the show. But before we get there, first of all, as a reminder, 10 o'clock hour on the Ryan Hickey Show is always brought to you by LC Designs. Charcuterie boards are perfect for all occasions, so make sure your guests are happily fed with some delicious and aesthetically pleasing charcuterie boards made by Lauren Clark. So make sure you check out lcdesignsnyc.com, lcdesignsnyc.com for more information. We are approaching the final week of the NFL. Week 18 is upon us, which means Black Monday is less than a week away. Usually the day after the season ends is when we find out which head coaches that are on the hot seat are fired and who will be retained for 2022. So I got 7 names here, 7 coaches, and we will discuss whether they should stay for 2022 and be brought back or whether they should go and be fired. So let's get into it. Here's one. I think it's very interesting. Seahawks and Pete Carroll. Should Pete Carroll return in 2022 or should he go? For me, the answer is go. I think Pete Carroll should and will retire and or step down after this season as Seahawks head coach. If you think about it from Seattle's perspective, it makes 0 sense to bring Pete Carroll back next year, no matter what happens with Russell Wilson. And so you look at Russell Wilson's situation. For me, I do believe Russell Wilson wants out of the Seahawks in large part because of Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll doesn't really listen to Russ. He doesn't give him what he wants. He has an antiquated way of thinking. Pete Carroll thinks running the ball and playing good defense is how you win games in 2021. Not the case, especially when you have a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Also, especially when you have a really bad defense and no run game. So I think Russell Wilson will be traded this offseason. I know last year he made the threats and never came through. I think this offseason is the year he finally does get traded and leave Seattle. So if that's the case, Russell Wilson is traded. If you're Seattle, you don't really have another choice. You're going into a full rebuild mode. Almost every aspect of your team outside of receiver needs an upgrade. Offensive line, running backs, corners, linebackers, defensive line. You have holes everywhere on this roster. So if you don't have a top 5 quarterback on your team, kind of making up for a lot of those, cleaning up for a lot of areas and making the team look better than it truly is, you got to rebuild to get better. They don't have a first round pick this year because of the Jamal Adams trade. So you got to, really bring a haul of picks back and really build through the draft like they did a decade ago when they built the Legion of Boom and they got Russ. So if you're going to go into a full rebuild, which I think they should and they will, Pete Carroll's going to be 71 years old next year. Do you want a coach that's not going to see the end of the rebuild, most likely being the coach through the rebuild? Like for me, I'd rather bring in a head coach that is young, that is going to be there for the next, let's say, 5 years and help bring this team from where they are right now, which you hope if you're a Seahawks fan is rock bottom, and build through the draft the next 2-3 years and start to build a consistent winner that can have another decade of success like they did in the 2010s. So you want it. If I'm John Schneider, the Seahawks GM, I want a head coach that's going to be there through the end of this rebuild. Pete Carroll at 71, I don't think he's going to do that. He's the oldest coach in the NFL. Now, Pete's never really hinted at retirement, but he's also not taken a losing season well this year, right? He's only had success, obviously. He only knows what winning is like for the most part since he went to USC and beyond. So this is going to be there's going to be a lot of lean years in Seattle. And I do think that it's time to bring a new head coach in for a rebuild. And if not, if Russ somehow stays, I think Pete is gone. There's no, to me, chance that they're going to run the band back of Pete Carroll as head coach and Russell Wilson as quarterback back in 2022. So if Russ stays, that definitely means to me Pete is out. So either way, whether Russ is there or not, I think it's smart. I think it's the right decision for the Seahawks to move on from Pete Carroll. You're not going to fire him, so you're just going to gently kind of, have him retire or step down. And I do think the Seahawks will have a new head coach next year. So Pete Carroll going out for 2022. How about the Giants and Joe Judge? For me, this is an easy one. He also should be gone. And it's, for me, if you're the Giants, you have been dysfunctional. You've been one of the worst teams in the NFL now for the last 5, 6, 7 years. Well, you're going to get a new general manager. They're going to do the Pete Carroll treatment to Dave Gettleman and force him to retire. I don't think they're going to fire him, but he is not going to be the GM next year. That's basically a done deal. So now, how you continue to be a dysfunctional team, how you continue to kind of be a bottom feeder in the NFL is by continuing the dysfunction, which is bringing in a new GM and forcing him to retain the current head coach. That never works. Bringing in a GM, when you keep that coach, does either one or two things. Either you give more power to that coach because now you're going to hire someone that only wants to work with Joe Judge and loves Joe Judge, so you're going to enable a bad coach, or you're going to hire the best candidate. You're going to force Joe Judge on them. They're not going to like it, and they're going to fire Joe Judge in a year, maybe even before the year is over next year. And now you treat 2022 basically as a wash because you had a GM with a coach he does not like, does not trust, does not believe in, basically playing out the string. And 2022 is not going to get you any closer to relevancy for the Giants. But you're just going to have another wasted season. So for me, tearing it down, cleaning house, and getting the GM and the head coach on the same page is how, to me, if you're the Giants, you start to turn this team around. Cleaning house is the only way to go in the right direction. Not to mention, it's not like Joe Judge has been a great coach these last 2 years. Like, what has he done well? For those who think Joe Judge shouldn't be fired, let me ask you this. What has he done well to deserve year 3 with the Giants? What has he shown you that you think, you know what? That's an aspect I think the Giants could actually come away with and come out of this rebuild, if you will, on the positive end. The team has regressed in year 2 under his leadership. The Giants have lost 12 games this year. 9 of them have been by 10 or more points. So Joe Judge can talk about effort and playing hard and playing through the whistle in the fourth quarter. The thing, though, is every single game for the first 3 quarters, they're not playing well. They're getting blown out. 9 of the 12 losses have been by double digits. These games are a blowout. Not to mention, he's not a great in-game coach. So for me, there's no justification for bringing Joe Judge back, which I do think is why he should be gone and fired at the end of the year. How about the Vikings and Mike Zimmer? I think he's a guy who should go, should be fired. You look at the Vikings where they are stuck in the middle. They are not winning a Super Bowl with this head coach and quarterback combo, and they're not even making the playoffs consistently. So you look at the roster, there's not a ton of moves that can be made, but one of the quickest ways to turn a team around, to get them to playing up to their level that they're capable of, is changing one of two things, the head coach or the quarterback, sometimes both. So you look at the rest of the roster on offense. You have Justin Jefferson. You have Adam Thielen. You have Dalvin Cook. You have some playmakers. If you have the right head coach and the right quarterback in place, you have the potential to be a top 5 offense in the NFL. There's enough talent there to have the Vikings be one of the most prolific offenses in the league. So how you do that for me is bringing in an offensive-minded coach, bringing in someone that can get the most out of this offense, even if you can't get rid of Kirk Cousins, which I think they should. But if you can't, no one takes him. There's no quarterback that wants to go play for you, and you're stuck with Kirk. Bringing in an offensive mind you hope can at least get the most potential out of this offense and maybe make this team a prolific contender. But now for the Vikings, you look at another year where they missed the playoffs. This is now just 3 playoff appearances for Mike Zimmer in 8 years. The sample size is big enough, and I do think change is necessary in Minnesota. That's why I think Mike Zimmer should be gone. How about David Culley? Lame duck coach when he was hired with the Texans last year. We all knew that was not going to last very long. But I think he should stay for one more year at least. I think he has done enough. He has done really everything the Texans could have asked for this season. Right? You look, David Culley has kept his team believing. They have played hard for the majority of the season. They have been competitive at times. They've even won a few games. Hell, they've won more games than we expected. I thought this team had a legitimate chance to go 0-17. I know it's a little dramatic to say, and it's hot takey to say, a team's going to go 0-17, but this is, talent-wise, the worst roster in the NFL. This team stinks. You can't look at any bright spot on this roster and say, yeah, that's a good player, or yeah, that position is deep. Brandon Cooks, maybe? That's about it. But this team has still managed to win a few games. They're 3-4 their last 7 games when the season by far is over. And usually where you see good teams, when you see bad teams throw in the towel, this is when the Texans have been competitive and been good. And they just beat the Chargers and frankly dominated them like 2 weeks ago. A team that is on the fringe of a playoff berth. So for me, you keep David Culley, You keep building this roster. You keep Davis Mills at quarterback next year. You do not draft a quarterback. You get, whether it's Aiden Hutchinson, whether it is Kayvon Thibodeau, whether it is Evan Neal, you get just a really solid player, the best player available if you're the Texans, and you build the roster first. Keep the head coach, keep the quarterback there for another year. Try to build the roster up, get talent at other key positions. And then in 2023, start to find your head coach of the future, start to find your quarterback of the future. But David Culley's credit, he has done enough in my mind to stay for one more year. The Broncos and Vic Fangio, I think he should go. It's no secret. The biggest weakness of the Broncos is their quarterback. They are a quarterback away from being legitimate Super Bowl contenders. And I do think whether it's Aaron Rodgers, whether it's Russell Wilson, whether it's Deshaun Watson, that job, if you're one of those three quarterbacks, gets a lot more attractive if you have an offensive-minded head coach in place. We know Deshaun Watson's love for Eric Bieniemy. One of the reasons why he wanted to trade from the Texans is because he wanted the Texans to interview Eric Bieniemy, which at first they did not. And that got Watson very upset. If he's able to play next year and he is, cleared and good to go and the Texans are going to trade him, well, the Broncos become a lot more sexier destination for Deshaun Watson if Eric Bieniemy, a guy like him, is at the head coaching position than Vic Fangio. Sorry to call for what it is. Fangio is not a very good in-game coach. He doesn't really inspire you if you're a big-time quarterback trying to play in Denver. I know the Broncos have overachieved this year and have been more competitive than I thought, but I think it's time to move in an offensive-minded direction. This is a quarterback away from being Super Bowl contenders. You go all in to make that job as attractive as possible, and I do think you do that by bringing in a new head coach with an offensive background. That's for me. Time for Vic Fangio to go. Kind of like Joe Judge. I don't think he does a lot well that really warrants keeping him at the as a head coach in Denver for 2022. How about the Panthers and Matt Rule? This has really turned sideways quickly. I think Matt Rule should stay. I think he should stay for 2022 because I do think the Panthers are a lot closer to being competitive than we realize. Right? They got to that great 3-0 start. Sam Darnold looked like a man that was rejuvenated in Carolina. But since that 3-0 start, they are 2-11 since. So it's been ugly, but I will say this team is a quarterback away from being a playoff contender. They still got a long way to go in offense and build up the offensive line and try to get Christian McCaffrey healthy. But this team is truly a quarterback away from being a playoff contender and being a playoff team. I mean, look at the three quarterbacks that have played this year. Sam Darnold. I love Sam Darnold. That's a guy I had total faith and belief in. Got to call like I see. The guy stinks. The guy stinks. He can't play quarterback, and we have seen too much of him this year to show it's not just the Jets that are the issue. It's Sam Darnold. So Sam Darnold was a failure. P.J. Walker, to call for what it is, it's P.J. Walker. And Cam Newton stinks. Cam Newton's worse than Sam Darnold. Cam Newton made Sam Darnold look like a good quarterback. Like a quarterback where Matt Rule was excited to have back. He couldn't wait to move on from Sam Darnold when he got hurt. And then 5 weeks later, he could not wait for Sam Darnold to come back off IR and start again. That shows you where the offensive is for the Panthers. That shows you where the quarterback position is for the Panthers. Doesn't help when you have Christian McCaffrey this year, missed 10 games, which now it's 2 years in a row. He's been injury prone, not good. But you have a defense in Carolina that's really good. They drafted really well in recent years where they have the number 2 defense in terms of total defense. They've been one of the best pass defenses in all the NFL this year. They have a defense and they have skill players in Christian McCaffrey when healthy, in DJ Moore when healthy, that they are just a quarterback away from being a playoff team. So I think Matt Rule should get one more chance here in Carolina, get one more offseason to get a quarterback that can actually be competent and actually stand a chance to give this team a chance to make the playoffs. So I think Matt Rule stays for one more year. I think he's building something good in Carolina. It's just the quarterback position has been so bad now for 2 years that he hasn't had a shot. And finally, this is the hardest one. Rich Bisaccia and the Raiders. Should he stay or should he go? I think he should stay. I think Rich Bisaccia should stay as the head coach of the Raiders because he has played a huge, massive role in keeping this team together all season long. And I don't think that leadership should be overlooked and can be replicated. Like, think about it. The Raiders right now are 9-7, are playing a home game that is a playoff game against the Chargers where you win and you're in. They should not be in that, situation right now with what they've dealt with this season. Look at all the roadblocks they have had to deal with. They had John Gruden's emails come out and he got fired in season. If Henry Ruggs' DUI car crash killed someone, now his life is going to be, it's over. He's going to be in jail. Damon Arnett was cut for a video he posted threatening someone's life. And now this week alone, Nate Hobbs, another player on our team, arrested for DUI. This has been, one roadblock after another for the Raiders to deal with all season long. And to Rich Bisaccia's credit, along with Derek Carr, those two have kept this team afloat. They have kept them believing. They have kept them playing hard, even at 6-7, right? The Raiders got off to a hot start, and they lost a bunch, and they're 6-7. He had this team still playing hard, still believing. They have won now 3 games in a row, and like we said, they are just one game away. They are basically in the playoffs this week because it's a win and you're in game against the Chargers at home. No one would have expected that. So to me, his leadership outweighs the X's and O's that other coaches bring. I view Rich Bisaccia with what he's done this season a lot like John Harbaugh, a lot like Mike Tomlin, a lot like Pete Carroll. More motivational, more, good leaders than they are tremendous X's and O's players, calling plays on offense, calling plays on defense. So I think Rich Bisaccia should stay. So Rich Bisaccia, I think, should come back in 2022 as Raiders head coach. Matt Rule should come back in 2022 as Panthers head coach. I think the Broncos should fire Vic Fangio. The Texans should keep David Culley. Vikings fire Mike Zimmer. Giants fire Joe Judge. And the Seahawks fire Pete Carroll. I'm curious your thoughts here. Seahawks, Giants, Panthers, Raiders. Who should stay? Who should go head coach? Who should be fired? Who should come back? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Facebook, Worldwide Sports Network. Twitter, WWSRN_radio, or at Ryan Hickey Show. It's a Thursday in the NFL season, which means Pickies with my guy, Jay Berman. Is next. We'll do that when we return right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Do current market conditions have you nervous? Our experienced team of financial professionals at Heritage Harbor Financial Associates understands that no two investors are alike. We all have different goals, needs, and appetites for risk. That's why the one-size-fits-all approach does not work, especially when planning for retirement. At Heritage Harbor Financial Associates, we analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value and market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offers securities through AXA Advisors, LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC, annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network, LLC.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor, and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit him online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy. You don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, Your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And welcome back into the Ryan Hickey Show. Where else? The Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It is a Thursday, which means Hickey's Pickies is live. The last week, at least last regular season week of Hickey's Pickies here is Week 18 does commence in the NFL. And I'm very, very excited for our next guest here. A man who we worked very closely together at CBS Sports Radio. One of my good friends, I like to say, and that is Jay Berman. Jayster, what's up, man?
How are you, buddy? You looking good today.
Yeah, wow. This is the first time I've seen you in a while. I tried to do the hair extra high for you today.
You did. It's funny. My wife asked me what game is on tonight, and I said there's no game, and I was a little bit sad about it. So I got nothing to watch tonight.
You know what, Jay? I'm kind of with you. I don't know about you. I kind of like Thursday night football the most. Like better than Monday night, better than Sunday night. I love Thursday night football. It does suck there's nothing tonight.
Yeah, it's and this goes for every game, but it's fun. It's especially fun when there's a good game, and you just don't know in the beginning of the season when you look at the schedule. So the fact that there's no Thursday night is a little bit sad. But don't forget, we have that Monday night wild card game, which I'm very much looking forward to.
Is that dripped in sarcasm, or is that true Jay Berman, excitement?
No, that's 3 days of playoff football in the first round, and that's always better than 2 days of playoff football.
More is always better than less. So this is why we bring Jay Berman on. Not only do you bring some good takes, Jay, you come prepared. Is that a microphone icing in front of you?
Yes. Well, with my new job, I have I had the setup ready to go. So yes, it's a microphone. I even have earbuds and a wonderful background.
This guy is a consummate pro. You, sir, are by far the most prepared guest we have had on. No shot to any of the other ones, but no one has had a person on a microphone and headphones in. Look at you, Jay. Thanks for really, taking this seriously.
You have a wonderful set of headphones, by the way. I must say.
Oh, you like those?
Not really, but
I figured that. I was gonna say you're too nice so far.
You're looking good.
You know what, Jay? I try. I haven't seen you in a while, so I figured I'd try my best to impress. Usually, anytime we hang out, especially at work, you'd always make fun of me. So thanks for being kind now.
I miss
like
you, buddy.
You, Jay.
I miss you.
I know. I got to stop ditching you.
Yeah, you do.
Leading you on, I will hang out and,
time is running out. I'm only in New York for a few more weeks, so we'll have to make something happen.
I am looking forward to it. We definitely will. Jay, are you ready to make some picks the last regular season of the NFL? You got some feeling some winners here?
I am. It's a very interesting week because you have to dodge bullets here. Who's playing, who's resting, who's hurt, and obviously playing out the string for most teams. So it's really interesting if you combine the playoff implications, the injuries, the Joe Burrow not playing at all. There's a lot of landmines here, so you need some luck as well.
Yes, that's why the games we picked this week, it was honestly the toughest slate just because, right, you can't go based on names and matchups. It's, who's playing? Browns and Bengals on the surface sounds great. No Baker Mayfield, no Joe Burrow, no Joe Mixon. All right, that game sucks. We're not going to bother that. So there's not many games this week that truly have playoff implications. And even some of the games we picked don't really matter much, but it's all right. Guys will still have incentives to win. So that's really what it is, right? You try to get as close to having competitive games as possible. Before we get to the NFL, though, we will at least get one college pick. The national title game is on Monday. You are Mr. College Football. We have Georgia and Alabama, the SEC title game rematch. The Georgia Bulldogs were favored in that game, got smoked. They are favored again on Monday night. 3-point favorites against Alabama. Where are you going with, Jay?
I am. I didn't know the line. So in researching the line, I found out that Georgia's favored by 3, and I still cannot believe it. I
sent you the picks last night.
I know. I meant the first time I looked at it.
Oh,
I hadn't looked at it all week, and I'm still surprised. I can't figure out how you can pick anybody but Bama. and the number being giving Bama points seems insane to me. I'm running with Alabama. I think it's a multiple score difference here. I don't see any way Georgia keeps up with Bama. But again, this is the same story every single year. I pick Bama every single year. The years they win, I put my thumbs up, and the years they lose, I say tough luck. So I'm going once again back to the well, picking Bama getting points. Still can't believe it.
You're a smart guy, Jay. I have to tell you that. You already know that. But you're a smart guy because you're doing the sensible thing. Alabama getting points in any situation, it's a gimme. It should be a no-brainer. Like I said, period, stop. Okay, I'm doing it. I hate to do it. You're going back to the well, and so am I. I picked Georgia in the SEC title game. I may have said on the air that this is going to be a blowout, and it's not going to even be close a few weeks ago. And obviously, we know how that went. There was a blowout, just not the way I thought it was going to go. I'm getting back on the horse. I'm doubling down. I will go Georgia. I think they are a really good team. This is the year where truly they are, I think, still the only elite team in college football because Alabama, talent-wise, is still there, but they're still so inconsistent to where it's tough to feel like they're going to play their best game and consistently just because we've seen it twice this year. They played great against Ole Miss. They played great against Georgia. I'm going to – this is a really stupid bet, I'm telling you. I'm going to bank on the fact that Nick Saban won't have his guys ready to play in a consistent level, and Georgia will find a way to come out and win. So it's stupid, but I'm going Georgia.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm trying to think, and I don't know the answer to the question, which is why I bring it up, but I'm trying to think, especially in late December, early January, the last time Bama was an underdog.
It may actually, I'm trying to think, maybe the SEC title game, like against Florida when Tim Tebow was there. I think they won that game. Like they had barely been underdogs in general, let alone, like I said, this late in the year.
And that it's a different era now for Bama. That was when Florida was good. That's when Urban Meyer was leading the way. Things have changed. Florida stinks and Bama's great.
That is very true. I will say the one thing I will say about Georgia, I did like how they came out and beat the crap out of Michigan. Like you could have a hangover from the Alabama game and have that be in your head and kind of have that loss trickle into a playoff game. I am encouraged the fact that they came out and beat the brakes off of Michigan without even thinking about it. I think that while it's not Alabama, I think the mental hurdle you have to jump over a team is different. I do think that for me, has me feeling a little bit better about Georgia, where they're able to flush that loss from Alabama and just beat the brakes off of Jim Harbaugh and Michigan.
Not to mention, as we know, Nick Saban is one of the greatest coaches ever. But if you compare him to someone like Bill Belichick, we always talk about giving the coach time to prepare. And it's not just a single week. It's not just 2 weeks because they've already played him this year. So there is plenty of film to go around. And I think anytime you give him this extended amount of time to prepare, I can't even see Georgia keeping it close.
Jay, like you said, you're a smart man here. That's why we bring on the show. Because I'm taking the sucker bet here. I'm going with the Bulldogs. But like you said, it's common sense to pick Alabama, but sense for me is not common, I guess, in this pick. We'll go with the Bulldogs here. In an upset, I guess we'll call it, even though they're favored, which I feel like you're right. It would be an upset if they do win.
Oh, no doubt about it. There's, it's like, who cares who's the underdog and who's the favorite,
right?
But there's just no chance Georgia hangs with Bama. I'm very much looking forward to it because it's Monday night with no other football, so it'll be fun. And I look forward to the national championship game every year. I don't think this is close. I hope they can keep it close because I'd love a good game. Don't see it.
Yeah, that's the thing with college football when it comes to the playoff. It's usually the national title game is a good one, but the path there in the playoff games, the semis have just been awful.
Yeah,
absolutely awful. How about a big NFC West battle here, Jay? 49ers and the Rams. Now the Rams have locked up a playoff berth. They could still clinch the NFC West. They could still keep the 2 seed with the win. So they are incentivized to win. 49ers win, and they're in the playoffs. It looks trending to be Trey Lance starting, but Jimmy Garoppolo was limited in practice yesterday. So there was, I guess, an outside chance he could come back after missing last week with a thumb injury to play. But the 49ers on the road are getting 4.5 points. San Fran or LA, Jay?
San Francisco getting points. despite it tells you how good San Francisco's roster is from top to bottom, with the exception of the quarterback. And I understand that Garoppolo is hurt, but he's not as good as we thought he was going to be when he got traded to San Francisco. Who knows what to make of Trey Lance? I don't see, and again, it just goes to show the power of the roster from 2 through 50, whatever. I love San Francisco here getting points. 4.5 felt like a lot. But again, San Francisco and the Rams, talk about inconsistent. I know we mentioned Bama. Talk about Rams being inconsistent all season long. I don't know what to make of them. And obviously they're going to be in the playoffs, but give me San Francisco getting points.
Now, does this have any bias to do with you being in San Francisco last week and being a big-time San Francisco lover?
Believe it or not, I was in LA.
Oh, whoa, excuse me.
So maybe from that perspective, I should lean towards the Rams. Love the Niners.
Did you have an awful New Year's? Is that why you're going against
No,
them?
I had a great New Year's. The problem with LA is I'm not sure if you remember, there was terrible rain for like a week or two, and it happened to linger into the first couple of days we were there. The second set of days that we were there, it was bright sunshine, but again, it was unique for LA to get all that rain.
Yeah, you don't look too tan, so it doesn't look like you're out on the beach too often.
I'm not allowed to go outside with anything short of SPF 1000.
So the rain's probably helped you out then. There you go, J-Ster.
It did. It did.
I'll go with the Rams. Again, I think they're the more talented roster. Like you said, they have been inconsistent. I mean, they're barely beating the Ravens with that awful defense last week. I will just go with a team that I do think now this is the team that's owned them. Right, 49ers won 5 straight over the Rams. I think Sean McVay gets his revenge. The quarterback questions do me a little concerned, especially going against a good Rams defense. I think Matthew Stafford shakes off the first game that he had against San Fran that was just awful. Gets back on track here. I think he's thrown like 6 picks like the last 2 games.
Yeah, he's been bad of late for sure.
It has not been good. Some more pick sixes have been an issue. He figures it out. It's almost, I will say, a little bit of a hope because I have picked the Rams to go to the Super Bowl early on in the year, and I'm really not trying to get off the bandwagon. So I'm going to try to will the Rams here to victory, laying the 4.5 at home. I think they do get the win, clinch the NFC West, keep the number 2 seed with a decisive win over the 49ers. Steelers and Ravens, basically a meaningless game. They need hell to freeze over in order for them to have any shot at the playoffs. The Ravens are at home giving 5 points. So Steelers 5-point underdogs on the road. Steelers or Ravens?
Give me the push.
Push?
No, I'm kidding. This one's the most difficult of the ones you sent me. I'm going to go with the Ravens. I know that's a lot of points, but as you said, I believe the Jaguars need to beat the Colts and the Steelers need to win for the Steelers to get in. What else has to happen for Pittsburgh?
And I think they don't need a Raiders they need them to play the game. The Raiders,
right?
No tie.
Right. So regardless, the Jags are not beating the Colts. So right then and there,
don't jinx it.
Yeah. No, I mean, come on. Those are 2 very different teams. But so give me the Ravens. I think once you realize throughout a game that it's not going to happen, I think they're not going to lay down for sure. But there's some air taken out of the balloon, if you will. And I just like the Ravens here. Is Lamar going to play?
No clue. Clue. It's been, mum is the word over there.
Right.
I would probably guess no at this point, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like you said, they need a miracle to make the playoffs. So at this point, it's even worth risking Lamar Jackson playing on a bum ankle. I'd probably say no.
Yeah, you would think with a backup quarterback, I would go towards the Steelers. But to talk about inconsistent, the Steelers, I don't know what to make of the Steelers. They probably have the best coach in the league, but they have a beat up roster, and I think that the Ravens will win this by a touchdown.
I'm taking the Steelers. I don't like it. I'll take the points. Look, Big Ben stinks. Let's just call for what it is. He had a great moment on Monday night, beating the Browns and getting that last win at home. But my God, you watch that game. This guy's throwing 2-yard passes. He's barely getting the ball past the line of scrimmage. I think he set a record. It was like 46 pass attempts. Whatever, 130 yards. It was like the most passing attempts with the fewest yards in NFL history. So it's not like Big Ben's going to shred this Ravens secondary that stinks. And like I said, Tyler Huntley's been playing well, but his back quarterback probably will play on Sunday. But I will take a game in which both teams are beat up, not playing well. I'll just take the Steelers getting 5 points. I think they're not, yeah. I'll take it being a close game. This was a close game the first time where the Steelers were getting points at home and they put Lamar in a blender. I think the defense gets after it again. I think defensively the Steelers are a little bit more, are better than the Ravens. So I'll take the Steelers defense keeping this game close and the Steelers getting 5, covering on the road in Baltimore.
Who's the quarterback for the Steelers week 1 next year? And is it a rookie?
If I had to pick right now, I still think I would go Aaron Rodgers. I think I would lean that way. I don't feel great about it. That's my pick. Where are you going?
Yeah, it's funny. They're not going to get a top quarterback because they're going to have a low pick because they're great every year. But I don't know. I mean, I would tend to lean towards something like a trade as opposed to a rookie quarterback. But Mike Tomlin's so good that I have complete faith in him. Although I know we've been talking a lot about it lately, about 15 consecutive seasons to start his career without a losing record. Depending on who the quarterback, I mean, if it's Mike Glennon next year, take the under on 7 or 8 wins.
My God. The Steelers have to strike out on how many quarterbacks? Like 30 quarterbacks before it's like, all right, screw it, Mike Glennon. Like you are going down the barrel there. You look at the Steelers, they're not that far away. Like the offensive line stinks, but the defense is good. They have some playmakers at receiver. Like they're really kind of quarterback and like 2 old linemen away from being competitive.
Well, the Steelers are always a couple of players away in a good way. That's how close they are every single season. So I have faith in Tomlin and company to I guess, usher in a new era. But you just don't know. It's such a quarterback-driven league. If you don't know at this point in time who your quarterback is next year, when you're not going to make the playoffs this year, what does that say? It's a fascinating question.
Yeah, and they're kind of stuck. It's going to be, like you said, I would try for Aaron Rodgers. That's not really the Steelers' way either. They don't give up a lot of picks. They don't pay a lot of money for a quarterback that's going to kind of call the shots. But I will say Mike Tomlin's and Aaron Rodgers' little love affair will be enough to get the job done.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. Don't feel a lot of confidence about it, but like you said, it's going to be fascinating to watch. Cowboys and Eagles, Jaster. Big NFC East battle. 2 of your favorite teams. Cowboys on the road, -7 against the Eagles in a game that Eagles already clinched. Cowboys have won the NFC East. It's all about seeding here, so it doesn't mean a ton, but we'll still see who is more motivated to win here. Where are you going?
Was it just me or did that number feel high to you? That's a touchdown there. Just felt high. I'm not even suggesting the Cowboys don't win the game, but I think it's going to be a close game. The Eagles somehow have managed to put together a pretty good season, and I'm not suggesting Jalen Hurts isn't a good quarterback. He is. But I never thought the roster from top to bottom was great. I don't think it's a Super Bowl team. I just have a feeling this is going to be a classic NFC East battle featuring a low-scoring game despite the offense from Dallas. I think Dallas can win. I think they might win, but I think the Eagles keep it close.
Our first agreement. You're taking the Eagles +7. I will take the Eagles +7.
It just felt like the number was too big.
I totally agree, number one. And two, it's like you kind of even like, I don't know about you, how you feel. I really don't feel great about the Cowboys. Like, sure, Sunday Night Football, they beat the brakes off the Washington football team. Congratulations. But it's like, other than that, I mean, you're a Giants fan. You watched them 2 weeks ago. Did the Cowboys really, like, impress you? Was it 21-6? Like, they didn't really play that great.
It's hard to judge someone playing the Giants.
I would agree.
But, yeah, it's like one of the big problems, and I'm not trying to pick on the guy. I don't think Mike McCarthy is a great coach. I think at this stage in the season, at this stage in the year, that could mean the difference between a lost timeout, a missed field goal, a too many men on the field penalty, whatever your choice is.
Last week, that fumble, I don't know if it was a fumble or not. It was close, bang, bang, but you blew a timeout on an extra point or a punt. And also next thing you don't have a timeout left to challenge, and there's the game.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think McCarthy is I don't know. I don't want to say Achilles heel of the Dallas Cowboys, but I'm not in love with him. It's funny. We all loved him in Green Bay. And the reason why is because he had Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason we love Matt LaFleur. So I think that the Cowboys have a coaching problem. And I've just never been in love with McCarthy since he got to Dallas.
I mean, I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but it's like, I'm with you 100%. And when you look at the Cowboys roster, like if they lose in the first round or even win a wild card,
would you be that surprised?
No, like
right.
If he got fired, would you be shocked? I wouldn't.
Well, look, I mean, they're going to win the division. I mean, it's hard to fire a guy off a winning division and a home playoff game, you know.
But if you lose, let's say to the Cardinals again, or you lose to the Rams in the first round, or you win, but you play whoever in round 2, the Packers, the Rams, the Cowboys, or the Bucks, and you get handled pretty decisively. It's like if you're Jerry Jones, he's not getting any younger. He obviously is desperate to win one more Super Bowl. There's not many changes you're going to make outside of head coach that could get you any closer. I'm with you. Like taking Matt LaFleur or Mike McCarthy, taking Sean McVay or Mike McCarthy, Bruce Arians, Mike McCarthy. Like against the best teams in the NFC, they have the worst coach in terms of like the elite teams. I'm with you.
Yeah, I agree. I think he is I don't want to go as far as to say he's a problem, but I think all things being equal, as we just mentioned, when you talk about timeouts and too many men on the field and instant replay, throwing the red flag, stuff like that, I think he is below average.
100%. Like I said, if he's not a solution, maybe it's harsh to say he's a problem, but he's definitely not helping them win for sure.
No, he doesn't put them over the top.
Right. I would agree. So both of us, Philly +7 in this game. I am with you there. The final game, really only game that could matter on Sunday, Chargers at Raiders. Home playoff game here, basically for the Raiders. It's a win and you're in game for either team. Chargers are 3-point road favorites. J-Stir, bolt up, or are we going with the Raider Nation here?
Yeah, I think we're going with the Bolts here. I would say we talked about inconsistent teams, and we talked about Bama. And we talked about the Niners, and we talked about the Steelers, and we talked about the Cowboys. Just add the LA Chargers to that as well. We love Herbert, and rightfully so, but I'm just not sure they can go into Las Vegas, win by a touchdown. I mean, win by 4 or 5, 6, 7 points, whatever it is. I like the Raiders here getting points at home. I do. I was torn here because we love the Chargers. I'm just not sure that they can go into Las Vegas. I haven't seen enough from the Chargers to believe that they are a team that goes in there and smokes the Raiders. Now, to be fair, the Raiders are a mess. And I'm not saying they don't have talent, but I don't know what to make of the Raiders. So I'm going with the home team here.
Again, this is what we bring on the show, Jay. You're a smart guy. Common sense views prevailing. Alabama giving you points. It's a freebie. You take that every time. The Raiders, like I said, 2 inconsistent teams. The Raiders are at home getting points where both teams, it's a playoff game for both of them. It makes sense to take them because it's going to be a close game. You're a smart man going the Raiders. I'm going to go the Chargers, though. Like you said, I don't feel great about either team. I really don't, because it's like they're both inconsistent. And for the Chargers especially, the thing that scares them the most is Justin Herbert's been great this year. But the Chargers only win when Justin Herbert plays like a fantastic game.
Yeah.
If he plays like even a good game, they don't have any other way to win. They don't really run the ball well. Their defense stinks. So it's like they are insanely reliant on Justin Herbert, where he has to be great to elite every game for them to win. Where if they're not winning the game. So it's like, I mean, they lost to the Texans 2 weeks ago. So they showed you they could lose to anyone if Justin Herbert's not having a tremendous game. That scares the hell out of me, I'll be honest. I do think, though, in this game, you look at Derek Carr versus Justin Herbert. Derek Carr is more consistent for sure. The Raiders' defense, I just don't love the Raiders. I don't think they do one thing really well. Like, the Chargers have Justin Herbert. He's a great quarterback. I don't know. Like, even though they beat my Colts last week, it's like it's one of those games where they're resilient, they're tough. They don't do one thing that scares you. Like, they don't, like, Josh Jacobs is a good running back. They don't really run the ball in a way that really, you have your fear in the life of God. Derek Carr, if he has to throw the ball 40 times, are you that nervous? I know that the Chargers defense isn't great, but it's like, are you really nervous when they go 6-7 yards at a time? That they need a lot of things to go well for them to string together drives. The defense doesn't really have me concerned. So I will go with the best player here in this situation, which is Justin Herbert. I think they do win and cover. They do go to the playoffs. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
In a rare situation where the Jaguars beat the Colts, both teams are in with a tie. If you were the head coach of the Raiders or the Chargers, do you say, let's not be stupid here, common sense, knee it out, let's take a tie and go to the playoffs?
No way.
No way.
I guarantee you we'll never know. So that's why guaranteeing something we'll never know the answer to is ridiculous. But I'm going to guarantee you anyways that Goodell made it very clear to both teams, you will not kneel down. You will not push for a tie. I mean, think about 3.5 hours of nothing on a Sunday night when that's where the NFL put that game. That's not happening. They'll play the game for sure. Anybody who thinks they're kneeling down is nuts.
Now, I will say I have not considered the Goodell edict angle that you threw out there.
And we'll never know the answer because it's private, but I guarantee you he did something of that sort.
I will say, I would do it. If I was now, obviously you need 2 to tango. So if Rich Bisaccia or Brandon Staley already came out and said, we're not going to do it. If they say no, then you're not going to do it. But if I was the head coach of both sides, it's a gimme. There was no gimmies in the NFL. There's no cupcakes on your schedule. There's no free passes. This is literally free pass. Take a knee. No one's going to get hurt. You are guaranteed to make the playoffs. You cannot lose a game. I wouldn't pass it up. Sure, it would be an embarrassment. Obviously, remember last year on Sunday Night Football when the Eagles pulled their starters and everyone, including your boy Joe Judge, freaked out. It was
but they played the game. They played
the game. And people were still freaking out. So, I mean, yeah, if you have just 2 knee-offs on Sunday Night Football, there might be a riot.
I think there's a better chance of that happening, or there would be a better chance of that happening if it was a 1 p.m. Eastern game, or even a 4:25 game, because there's so many 4:25s this week. But you have a standalone game on a Sunday night that was flexed. No chance. No chance.
I get what you're saying. For me, it's tough to basically look at the playoffs and say, I'll take my chances. 50-50 against, again, like I said, you can't feel good about either team in this situation because they're both inconsistent. But I would agree there's no chance of it happening. I also would say, though, if it was me, I would do it. All right. So you're on the Raiders +3. I'm on the Chargers -3. We're both on Philly +7. You're on the Ravens -5. I'm on the Steelers. You're on the 49ers +4.5. I'm on the Rams, and you're on Alabama +3. I am on Georgia.
We don't agree on much.
We do now, which is par for the course, Jay. Upset special time, Jayster. Who are we feeling good about underdog-wise this week?
I feel terrible about the Giants, but since it's the end of the season and they're getting a touchdown at home with the wonderful Jake Fromm under center, give me the Giants getting 7 from the Washington Admirals.
That's where the Admirals, huh?
Yeah.
All right. I would go with the Hogs if it was me. Red Hog.
That's not bad either.
Not bad. Not bad. Definitely better than, the Brigade or the Commanders, the Presidents. The Washington Presidents.
The Capitals.
Screw it. Rip it off.
Right.
You're going with the Giants plus. Well, Joe Judge's got him playing hard. The only issue this is a big revenge game for the football team. They're going to beat the hell out of the Giants because Joe Judge was talking bad about the football team. Ryan Rivera is going to have him ready to go. I will stick, though, in New York. I will go with the Jets. The Jets are getting, you see this line? 16.5 points. Now it's against the Bills. I can't say the straight face. The Jets have been playing better. Zach Wilson is showing some signs of improvement. The Bills, I guess, have a reason to play, but sort of not really. There's not really much they can go for. They're probably stuck into the 4, and most likely will play the Patriots. So I don't think they'll play the full game. 16.5 points is a massive, massive number. Where remember last year, I believe the Bills pulled Josh Allen at halftime against the Week 17 game. I think it was against the Dolphins. I think that same thing will happen again. Jets will be competitive enough to keep it close. They want to build on the momentum, to finish strong. Jets keep this close, 16.5 points. They come.
That's a good one too. I picked the Giants with my heart, but 16.5 in a final week of the season when the home team basically doesn't need the game. I like that pick as well.
Now you're a Giants fan. Last thing I ask you, Jay, are you rooting for a win? Do you want a draft position? Are you rooting for a loss? What are you doing? How are you approaching this last game?
I find this argument annoying, and I can't stand people that say, I never root against my team. Well, you know what? I root against my team a lot. And I want Washington to win because it's much better. Look, the Giants need so much help from top to bottom. Including the executive branch of the team, if you will. Yeah. They need a total house cleaning. I'm not sure it's going to happen, but I hope Washington wins. I do. I'd rather have the 5th pick than the 9th pick, and of course they have the Bears pick as well. So we're rooting against the Bears. Yeah. So the fact that I can't root against my team means I'm lesser of a fan. To me, is ridiculous.
I would agree. I totally would agree. I mean, you could have had Chase Young a few years ago if Daniel Jones didn't pull that miracle out of his, against the football team. And Giants could use a pass rusher, you would say. So you want Joe Judge gone as well.
Oh,
your boy.
Oh,
that only gets easier if they lose.
Look, you have to watch every Giant game. And I'm not suggesting people haven't, but you have to watch every Giant game to really get a feel for the type of coach that he is. Now, look, nobody was going to be successful with this roster, so that's not fair to him. But from the timeouts to the challenges, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
4th down, punting on 4th and 1 in opponent territory is too conservative.
It was a bad hire. And Art Howe was the Mets' nice guy manager, and then they went to a hard nose, and then they went back to a nice guy. This is going to be a situation where the Giants are going to hire a veteran coach. I believe that because the first-time head coaches with Joe Judge and such, not going to work. I think the Giants go back to a veteran coach, one with lots of experience.
Pat Shurmur was a head coach of the Browns?
Yeah, he was. He was a coach of the Browns, was he not?
Yeah, I think that's right. I was going to say, it was McAdoo first time. Shurmur had but he didn't last too long in Cleveland.
No, he's not a head coach.
Yeah, Joe Judge, your boy. How about Doug Peterson? That'd be a name. I don't know if you would want to go. He has other.
How about Jim Harbaugh?
You in for Jim Harbaugh?
I'll tell you why I am.
Okay.
Because I don't want Judge. And that's it. And I think if they don't hire someone like Jim Harbaugh, they're going to keep Judge. And I'd rather see Harbaugh than Judge. Although, can you see the Giants shelling out $80 million or $70 million for Harbaugh?
After paying a GM?
Yeah, I'm not I don't know. I'd rather have Harbaugh than Judge, but I'm not sure it's the perfect fit.
I would agree. And I'd also agree with your analysis that I don't think the Giants would pony up to get Jim Harbaugh away from Michigan or even away from the Raiders or the Bears or another team that could be interested in his services.
Right.
Good times for the Giants. My goodness. Jayster, thanks for coming on, man. This is a lot of fun. It's good seeing you.
You are looking well, and I hope that at some point in the near future we can get on here and do some hockey picks.
Hockey picks, yes, sir. Isles, Rangerstown.
When the Isles play next in April, maybe we'll come back on.
That's true. They're playing their 10th game of the year.
Right.
We'll break that down.
Right.
Jay, thanks for coming on, man. This is a lot of fun.
Thanks, buddy. Always appreciate it.
The great Jay Berman right there joined us for some Hickey's Pickies. We appreciate him coming on. That'll do it for this edition of the Ryan Hickey Show. Really do appreciate everyone who tuned in and made us a part of your Thursday evening or Thursday. What am I talking about? Thursday morning. I'm already losing my mind. See, this is, I told you, we bring Jay on to be a smart guy. I am not a smart guy. Don't even know what time it is. It is the morning. We appreciate you starting your morning with us on the Worldwide Sports Network. Enjoy Week 18. We will be back to get all of the playoff reaction, head coach firings, who's going to stay. We got a national title game to talk about as well. Monday is going to be a jam-packed and loaded show. I can't wait. So have a great weekend. As always, stay safe, stay sane, and we'll talk to you on Monday right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.